Here is key point discussed in podcast Natalie Dawson, the PPL framework that 10x's your income in 5 years. So, let's dive into what really stood out to me from this conversation. The idea that success isn't just about massive action, but rather tiny, incremental improvements that compound over time, really resonated with me. Think about it: being one better every day for a year can lead to nearly 38 times better results. That's the power of compounding. On the flip side, being one worse every day for a year can bring you close to zero. It's a sobering reminder that our habits can either work for us or against us. Now, when it comes to achieving success, Natalie Dawson emphasizes the importance of character. It's not just about having the right skills or knowledge, but about being someone who wants to win, is willing to sacrifice, and is ethical and compliant. This got me thinking how many of us are truly honest with ourselves about our own character and whether it's aligned with our goals. Another key takeaway for me was the importance of goal setting. Natalie's PPF Framework, personal, professional, and financial goals, is a simple yet effective way to create buckets for your objectives. By prioritizing what success looks like in each of these areas, you can create a clear roadmap for achieving your goals. Communication is also a crucial aspect of success, and Natalie's approach to being present in any room, whether it's a meeting or a conversation, is something we can all learn from. By being intentional with the people in front of us, we can build stronger relationships and achieve more. And when it comes to speaking, her VC framework, vision, commitment, execution, is a powerful tool for landing your point and persuading others. Her advice to go all in on yourself and become obsessed with developing your skills and expertise is a powerful reminder that we all have the potential to transform our lives. By focusing on what we can control and taking intentional action, we can create the life we want. So, let's dive into the nitty-gritty of what makes initiatives successful. It all starts with commitment, not execution. Think about it: when you're given a task, do you immediately start working on it? Or do you take a step back to understand why it's important? Natalie Dawson emphasizes the importance of tying the task back to a bigger goal. It's not just about learning Twitch because someone told you to, it's about understanding how it aligns with your overall objectives. Now, let's talk about communication. But Natalie Dawson has a nuanced take on this. She believes that if you're genuinely uncertain, it's okay to say so. It actually builds trust. However, if you're using these phrases as filler words, it's a different story. The key is to be transparent about your thought process. It's not just about blocking out time for work, it's about aligning your time with your goals. If you want to achieve something, you need to invest time in it. It's not going to magically manifest in your life. Natalie Dawson is adamant that hard work is essential for achieving your goals. It's not about being a workaholic, but about being intentional with your time. She believes that people who are truly passionate about their work don't get burnt out. They might need a break, but they're not exhausted. The key is to find meaning in what you're doing. If you're working towards a goal that truly matters to you, the sacrifices won't feel like a burden. But what about people with multiple responsibilities, like parents? Natalie Dawson acknowledges that it's challenging, but she also believes that it's possible to balance work and family life. The key is to be intentional with your time and prioritize what's truly important. She suggests that instead of using your circumstances as an excuse, you should focus on allocating your time effectively. Let's talk about the relationship between success and happiness. Natalie Dawson believes that they're not mutually exclusive. In fact, they're intertwined. She thinks that people who are truly happy are often those who are creating something meaningful in their lives. However, she also acknowledges that everyone's wiring is different, and what brings happiness to one person might not be the same for another. The key is to understand what drives you and prioritize that. It's not just about accumulating wealth, it's about building relationships that can help you survive and thrive. It's a trade-off, really. Once you've made that decision, you need to focus on building expertise in a specific area and getting stats to back it up. It's not about being a jack of all trades, it's about being a master of one. And that's where respect comes from, not from being liked by everyone, but from being undeniable in your field. But here's the thing: respect isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. You might be respectable in one area of your life but not in another. It's about prioritizing what's important to you and building credibility in those areas. And that's where boundaries come in. You need to set boundaries to protect your time and energy, and to ensure that you're not getting distracted from your goals. Don't just start a business because you think it's a good idea. Start one because you've identified a genuine need in the market. And don't be afraid to think about the growth potential of that market. Don't just assume that someone will magically come in and know how to do what you do. Take the time to document your processes and then train someone to take over those tasks. It's not about being a bottleneck in your own business, it's about creating a system that can run without you. And that's where true freedom lies. I've been thinking a lot about the way we approach hiring talent, especially in the early stages of a business. The thing is, when you're just starting out, it's natural to feel insecure about bringing in someone who might know more than you. But the truth is, that's exactly what you need. You need people who can challenge your assumptions and help you grow. And it's not just about finding someone with a fancy title or a long list of credentials. It's about finding someone who can actually add value to your business. What about the risk of bringing in someone who's too expensive or too knowledgeable? What if they disrupt the whole business? And that's a valid concern. But here's the thing, if you don't have a clear understanding of your core business, you're already at risk. You need to know what makes your business tick before you can bring in someone who can help you scale. So, how do you approach this? Well, first you need to make sure you have a solid foundation in place. You need to know what works and what doesn't, and you need to be able to replicate that. Then, and only then, can you start looking for people who can help you take it to the next level. And when you do, make sure you're not just looking for someone who can follow orders. Look for someone who can bring new ideas and perspectives to the table. And speaking of new ideas, let's talk about sales. I've been thinking a lot about what makes a great salesperson, and it all comes down to one thing: being sold on what you're selling. If you don't believe in the product or service, you're not going to be able to convince anyone else to buy it. It's not just about having the right skills or techniques, it's about being genuinely passionate about what you're offering. It's about understanding the problem you're trying to solve and being able to communicate that to others. And if you can do that, you can sell anything. And let's talk about the women's wealth transfer. The fact is, women are going to be controlling a huge amount of wealth in the next few decades, and we need to make sure they have the skills and knowledge to manage it effectively. It's not just about investing or saving, it's about understanding how to navigate the financial world and make informed decisions. So, what can you do if you find yourself in a situation where you're financially illiterate? First, take a deep breath and acknowledge that it's okay to not know everything. Then, start educating yourself. Read books, listen to podcasts, talk to financial advisors, and most importantly, don't be afraid to ask questions. The more you know, the more confident you'll feel, and the better equipped you'll be to make smart financial decisions. And let's talk about passive income. If you're just starting out, your focus should be on building skills and generating income, not on trying to make money while you sleep. Don't get me wrong, passive income can be great, but it's not a substitute for hard work and dedication. Those are the skills that are going to be hardest to automate, and they're the skills that are going to be most in demand. So, if you want to future-proof your career, focus on developing those skills. Learn to think outside the box, to come up with innovative solutions to complex problems. That's the edge of the future, and that's what's going to set you apart in a world that's increasingly driven by technology. You can't predict what the future holds, but what you can do is focus on developing a mindset that's open to growth and evolution. Think about it: if you can acknowledge what you don't know and take steps to learn, that's a superpower in itself. And with the tools we have today, there's no excuse not to be learning and growing. It's about taking that first step and being willing to put in the effort. So many people get caught up in trying to be liked by everyone, but the truth is, that's not only impossible, but it's also not what's going to get you where you want to go. What you need to focus on is being respected, and that means being willing to make sacrifices and put in the work to become the best version of yourself. And here's the thing: when you start to like yourself, that's when the magic happens. You become more confident, more self-assured, and more attractive to others. It's not about being selfish or narcissistic, it's about being honest with yourself and working on becoming the person you want to be. And when you do that, you'll find that you're more open to new opportunities and experiences, and you'll attract people who want to do cool things with you. So, take a deep breath, be honest with yourself, and go for it. You never know what might happen.